Good afternoon, Miss Fleming. This is Patrick McCoy with Washington Life Magazine. How are you today?
Patrick, I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm good. I hope that you're faring well in the hurricane.
We did. We are actually fine, so quite relieved. It's been a real trial for the city and actually the tri-state area.
Well, good. I'm glad that you're okay. Well, listen, I don't want to hold you long. I just want to thank you so much for agreeing to this interview, which will appear in our December issue of Washington Life Magazine. And I just want to chat with you briefly about your career and kind of segue into the holiday season.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Now, often during the holiday season, you have definitely graciously shared your gift of singing with the world, such as the concert in 2005 that you did at Mainz Cathedral in Germany. What are some of your favorite things to perform in concert during the holiday season?
Well, I love a combination of things. I mean, there's been a fabulous gathering of classical music, of sacred music over the years. So sacred songs for me, the recording that I made is actually works very well year round. And the Mainz concert, which is also available, is much more Christmas oriented.
Mm-hmm.
And carols are so fabulous. There's nothing better than a caroling party. Or caroling in general. That's just the idea that people sing together really appeals to me. It's an exciting, wonderful way, I think, to create a sense of community.
That's wonderful. Now, you're certainly no stranger to Washington, D.C. and the broadcast Christmas in Washington. You've sung for that numerous occasions, and it's basically a Washington, D.C. holiday institution. Why do you think it's important to offer such television programming to the public, even though we have all this internet now that almost makes television kind of scarce?
Well, I think people who I think that's true. Maybe it's generationally speaking. I know my daughter spends a lot of time on the computer, but I find that my generation and my parents who are still alive and well watch television, and they miss having more of these kinds of musical events. I mean, when I grew up, there were a lot of variety shows that related to the arts. Whether it was Cher or Sonny and Cher or certainly Carol Burnett, or there were just so many different programs that you could go to. And my grandparents loved Lawrence Welk, that you could go to hear music and hear performances. Ed Sullivan. I mean, we don't really have that now. So as a wonderful respite from normal programming, it's great to have something musical. And, PBS certainly does something every year. But the holiday programs, I think, are such good news because they're cheerful, they're colorful, and they give you a chance also to be completely nostalgic. And there's no question that the holidays present an opportunity for a sentimental look back on life and a positive look forward.
Very well said. Now, you had mentioned children. Children are truly the future of classical music and opera. What are some of the programs and initiatives that you enjoy in your recent appointment as creative consultant at the Lyric Opera of Chicago?
Oh, I'm involved in so many things there. I mean, certainly the premiere of Ann Patchett's Bel Canto as an opera with a wonderful creative team, and working together recently, as we announced, with Yo-Yo Ma, Rahm Emanuel, and Damien Wenzel, who is working. They're tirelessly working in Washington as well to announce a wonderful new program for Chicago public school students to have the arts as part of their core curriculum in the expanded day that Rahm Emanuel has enabled students in Chicago to benefit from. And I'm also loving working in all kinds of different areas, trying to help expand the audience and the reach of the audience, working with finding and identifying young talent at the Merit School, advertising a music theater initiative. We're now producing every year a major musical, and we have a Rodgers and Hammerstein series to begin with. So all of these things have really, and the most exciting thing coming up right away is in early January, we're collaborating with Second City.
Oh, wow.
And Second City, as you know, is sort of the most popular Chicago brand right now. And we're doing a piece on, Second City's Guide to the Opera. And I think it'll be I've already seen and worked on, seen the initial table reading and the skits, and it's just very funny. I mean, as you can imagine, it's a very fresh look at opera.
Wow, that's amazing. You're doing some great work. Thank you so much for
good things. Yeah, yeah.
Now, of course, with the holiday season, there could be no holiday season without George Frederick Handel. And you sing quite a bit of Handel, most recently at the Metropolitan Opera in his opera Rodelinda, to rave reviews. Could you share about your first encounter with his oratorio Messiah?
Oh, sure. Well, my parents were both high school vocal music teachers in Rochester, New York. So the Messiah and my mother was a terrific soprano who worked in many of the area's churches, and she as a soloist. So the Messiah was really a part of every holiday season for us. There were parts of it that we did at Christmas and parts of it that we performed at Easter. And really, by the time I graduated from high school, I had the entire Messiah memorized.
Wow.
So all of the parts, all of the choruses, all of the solos. That's how important it was in my childhood. And, it's not a piece that one ever tires of because it's just so fabulous.
That's amazing. That truly is. Now,
here's the other piece of odd trivia. I've never in my life sung a professional Messiah. So
get out! Get out of here!
No, never. And it just never came to be. So there was one really high-profile one planned in London that was going to reproduce the whole original event, and it just never came to fruition.
Well, after this interview, I'm sure it will.
Well, there you go. There you go. Maybe someday.
We're almost at the end of the interview, but I just want to go a little bit further and say, of course, family is such a beautiful part of the season, and I was so pleased. I guess I've been under a rock to learn that your sister teaches right here at Catholic University. Did you all sing much together during your childhood?
Oh, we performed all the time together. She has a gorgeous voice, much smokier, kind of jazzier sound than mine as a soprano. Mm-hmm. And we still have some plans to sing together coming up.
Oh, that's amazing. Now, of course, your crossover recording, Dark Hope, was a family affair. You even involved your children. What was that like?
That was really fascinating because I actually had the chance to kind of go into someone else's idea. And typically I manage and micromanage is the right word, my own recording projects. But in this case, I sort of gave up control and said, okay, let's see what you come up with. And I was actually really thrilled with the result, and especially with how much I learned. It was just an extraordinary learning experience to kind of go through trying to find my voice in that music.
Oh my goodness, that is fascinating. Now, aside from your singing, another wonderful gift that you have given your admirers is your book, The Inner Voice, which has certainly been one of the most helpful guides for the aspiring singer. Are there any plans for a sequel or a similar project?
I would love to. I really would. There's a lot I would love to say in the future if the time ever permits. And I don't at this point have any plans. I mean, there's sort of I know that The Inner Voice is, I think, in its 9th or 10th printing now. Mm-hmm. So there's a home for that book because young singers have found it really helpful as a guide, and a sort of open and a view into the world of what the long-term process is for developing a career. And what I'd love to do is write about what it's like to be at the top and what you learn and what you see of the world. It's a quite extraordinary place, because we're not mainstream, but we are highly respected, and it's a quite unique perspective. And I've also had the bird's eye view to be able to see big picture and how the music business has changed and how everything has evolved.
Wow. I have two more questions for you. And just as I round out, I want to thank you so much just for your generosity on this interview.
Oh, my pleasure. It's lovely speaking to you. I'm sure I'll meet you at some point in Washington.
Yes, I have two more questions. And the next two questions were the first one before the last. The nation's capital, we felt like we basically gained you as a permanent family member when you married Washington lawyer Tim Jessel in 2010. How do the holidays work out for you guys between D.C., New York, and your concert schedule?
Yeah, it's we haven't quite sorted out this holiday. I think it's going to be fun, and it'll definitely be DC, New York experience. And I don't have any concerts over the holidays, so I get a nice break.
That's wonderful. Now, the last question, this is kind of a fun one. With all the wonderful treats during the holiday season, what is one thing that you look forward to eating after returning from, well, of course you're not singing, but what are some of your favorite holiday treats?
Oh, gosh, everything. I have to really be careful. I mean, I just had my candy corn fix yesterday, so there's always something. The question is how small can I keep the gesture? That's it's a matter of controlling the gesture. But I love holiday cookies and things like that.
Wow. Miss Fleming, thank you so much for this interview. And I just want to say we have met, and I don't know if you remember me. I was the African-American young man that approached you after your recital with the Washington Performing Arts Society. You addressed me. You knew who I was. I had expressed interviewing you.
Gotcha.
And you told me that you would grant.
I remember.
Yes, and you were welcome. And you told me that you would grant me an interview, and you kept your word. At the time, I wasn't
there you
writing.
Go. Of course, yes, of course, I remember. God, thank you for reminding me.
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, you just don't know. You just made a dream come true for me, and I look forward to hearing you again in Washington.
Me too. All right, we'll see you again.
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye.